you're from a land of rocks in a port. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I suppose that I can indeed. It is true. I live in a relatively undisclosed location that I do disclose every so often. It is on the eastern seaboard of the North American continent. I live on the Cape Ann Peninsula, which is a little peninsula that juts out into the North Atlantic Ocean. On a clear day to the south, you can see Boston. On a clear day up north, you can see the coast all the way up to Maine. And on a good day, you can see the sun rise over the ocean and set over the ocean. So it's a very nice place. Granite was indeed a very important industry here for many years. Not so much these days, but there's still a number of former granite quarries that are now beautiful swimming holes with all sorts of cliffs to jump off of, as notably noted on season 3, episode 7 of the web series Quiet Desperation, where I convinced Rob Patillo to jump off the cliff wearing a penguin costume.
Wow.
Yes, watch it on the internet if you wish.
Yes. Awesome.
Excellent.
So let me ask you, how many times have you seen the movie The Perfect Storm?
I believe I've seen it once or twice. It's true. The Perfect Storm was, of course, the movie they made about ill-fated fishing expedition years ago. I was here. The character that was for Marky Mark's character, who portrayed the character of Bobby Shatford. Bobby Shatford was a real-life friend of mine when I was a much younger person in high school and stuff, and worked beside him on the docks, feeding large fish into fish scaling machines. And he was a nice kid. He was a nice kid, and we were good buds there for a while. And when the fishing boat went down, it was very sad. Sebastian Younger wrote a pretty decent account of it, a factual book based on the facts, and then Hollywood got a hold of it and decided to turn it into a Hollywood big budget blockbuster. And it was a very strange time to be in Gloucester, Massachusetts, because while they were filming this movie, it was still pretty raw. It wasn't that long after the tragedy, and they used a sister ship, a ship that was exactly identical to the ship that went down, and painted it up to make it the Andrea Gale. And so the fishermen and the townspeople saw this essentially a ghost ship that was sailing in and out of town. And it was a very strange and surreal time because, for example, the scene of the funeral scene took place in the actual church, St. Anne's Church, where the actual funeral took place. Oh, wow. And they had actual real-life family members of the fishermen who had died in real life in the audience of this recreation of the funeral.
Wow.
In this fictitious Hollywood version. So it was just a very curious and strange time in the town while they were making this movie for those reasons. I guess that's it's not unusual that a lot of media content is made from real life events. But this was definitely, I think, one that was one of the strangest ones for me.
Yeah, sounds like a strange time. Wow.
Now, of course, Gloucester is also the town where 13 teenagers got knocked up, and they decided that it was a conspiracy. And they also made some sort of made-for-television movie about that. But that was just not as powerful emotionally, I'm afraid, as The Perfect Storm was.
Are we talking about kids?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
teenagers. They were like high school students.
Right.
I forget when that was, but that was a scandal. The town is full of scandal. It's a scandalous little town. It's a little drinking town that has a fishing problem, as they say on their bumper stickers. And yes, it is where I grew up, and it's a beautiful place, and still live in the vicinity, and it's an absolute a blessing to be able to be here, for sure.
It sounds like a beautiful, beautiful place, but those Hollywood bastards, look, I'll be your mercenary for hire. If you want us to go personally probe any of those bastards in retaliation for, what they did to your beautiful town, just let me know.
Yeah, Marky Mark, and for sure, and definitely George Clooney. Get him. Go get him.
Oh, I will be in that asshole.
Get him, yeah. And, of course, Rockport, the town that I'm in, also was a double for Sitka, Alaska. They filmed the movie The Proposal with Sandra Bullock here, and they made this little Rockport town into Sitka, Alaska, with fake snow and fake vegetation and fake license plates and computer-generated mountains in the background, because we don't really have mountains in the background. So that was fun. But once again, that wasn't as emotionally impactful as the Perfect Storm movie was. No, there's quite a filmography in this neck of the woods, for sure.
Yeah.
And, of course, I have my own filmography right here in the woods and all that. We've appeared in many strange little indie type of production features. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I know you might be running for you might be considering a run in 2024. We'll get to that. But what other projects are you working on right now?
Right now, we are laying the groundwork for that eventuality. Indeed, there are things brewing. We've recently had meetings of our exploratory committee, and so we are exploring up a storm, for sure. We have recently officially registered our exploratory committee, which is essentially a campaign committee. I don't think there's much difference between the two legally as entities, but what it is, it means that you are registered with the Federal Election Commission as an official organization, and what that does, it allows you to have your own employee identification number. So my campaign committee can hire people and things like that. And it means we can also have a bank account. It allows us to maintain a bank account for the committee where we can put money that people give us to spend on the campaign, on legitimate campaign expenses, of course, in a tax-free location. And that's one of the beautiful things about the election season, is that it allows my campaign to maintain a bank account that is tax-free, and it's separate from income, and it becomes its own thing. Last election cycle, I believe that we raised over $60,000 that we declared with the Federal Election Commission, which allowed me to spend it on travel to probably about 30 different states of America while I was campaigning for the Libertarian Party nomination. It allowed me to attend many, many conferences and conventions and debates. So ultimately, once the thing gets going, although it is arguably imaginary on some levels, it becomes very real on other levels, on the levels that are predicated on commentary on the system of politics that allows you to raise money and spend money, that allows you to ballot access, of course, becomes an issue because, once you're official, you have to meet all sorts of thresholds before you're invited to various debates. So it's part of the candidacy that sort of the whole Vermin Supreme is running for president because he says he is part of the project, but because it's real, it takes on a whole different level where I have to maintain an actual campaign manager. I need I have a treasurer, and so there are all these functional bureaucrats that act as part of the quote unquote air quote campaign, if you will. So that's a pretty time consuming in and of itself.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Of course, I do the cameos, as you very well know. I'm a cameo star. If anybody needs a cameo, cameo.com/Vermin Supreme. So I'm doing a lot of the cameos. Of course, I've got I'm always promoting the movie Who is Vermin Supreme? An Outsider Odyssey. If anybody in your audiences wants to watch a free feature-length documentary on me, Vermin Supreme, it is on the YouTube. All you have to do is type in Vermin Supreme, An Outsider Odyssey, and it will pop right up. And it is a pretty nifty document, which covers a lot of ground on my whole career, if you will.
It's a fine piece of video.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, watch it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's great. So I also is there a new one coming out called This is Vermin Supreme? Is somebody filming that?
Well, This is Vermin Supreme. It's actually it's in the can. You can see the trailer to that movie. It was briefly out there, but now it has been withdrawn because the filmmaker Rod Stewart is trying to package it as part of a outsider activist series that he is trying to sell as a complete package to various distribution outlets. So that one will be hopefully available in the near future. Until then, you can look up 2020, The Dumpster Fire, which was a movie that Rod Webber made about the 2020 election cycle. It's got a lot of Vermin in it and a lot of Rod Webber in it. And that is available. You can see that one for free on Tubi TV, Tubi, that thing. So that's another one. So yes, it's almost a never-ending series. And inevitably, after any given election year, there is some documentation. Of course, my book, iPony, Blueprint for a New America, is still available on the internet. If you have not read iPony, Blueprint for a New America, it is, of course, a book about the future, a future long after a Vermin Supreme presidency, after everybody has their pony, after zombie power fuels the nation, and after secret dental police have set up checkpoints every couple hundred yards or so. It is indeed a warning from the people of the future to you, the people of their past, your present, that Vermin Supreme is a madman and must be stopped.
Yeah, I've seen that future.
If I may, I would very much like to read an excerpt from iPony, Blueprint for a New America, if I may.
Please.
Okay, it is as follows. There were harsh political realities when President for Life, Vermin I, took office. At the time of his ascent to the White House, there were over 300 million Americans in America's previous borders. At the time, there were only 200,000 ponies in the whole country. It was a recipe for civil unrest. Those were not just political realities. Those were realities. There was a very stark choice to be made. On the table, would it be the mass execution of some 299,700,000 Americans in order to achieve proper pony-human parity, or would it be something else? His misspoken claim during his inauguration to faithfully execute the American people was sounding visionary. It is certainly true that such a mass execution would create jobs. It would also lessen the country's dependence on foreign oil. It would be good for the environment. Although there were some drawbacks to consider, mostly they were merely questions of ethics and public relations. During this time of widespread civil unrest, all options were on the table. The dental high command was put on high alert. The dental re-education camps were readied. Homeland Dental Security coordinated with the nation's dental police department. The militarization of America's dental police forces had been a great idea that was about to pay off in lower incidences of gum disease nationwide. There were riots in the streets of numerous cities. Pulsating water pick cannons knocked the rioters off their feet and knocked the plaque right off of their teeth. The top population was demanding their ponies that were nowhere in sight. It was a time of heightened international tensions. No one would have blamed Tyrant Supreme if he had ordered the Dental National Guard to carry out a full-scale massacre of the civilian population. It was high time, actually. The veneer of civility that had protected Americans from such real political unrest for quite some time was wearing thin. The quaint and oft-repeated notion that it can't happen here was truly just a lack of imagination. Thank you. That's a little setup. That's how it was. That's how it is. That's the future, buccos.
Sign me up. Inject it into my veins. Look, I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm over 600,000 years old. I have a lot of experience with exploring people's anuses. What is it going to take for me to get into the exploratory committee? I have a lot of experience.
Probably not very much at all. Just forward your resume to my people, and we will certainly take a look at it for sure.
Fantastic. We like to. Jimmy, get my resume together.
Will do.
I don't have one, but I will get one. So I have, let's see, what else do we have here? I had a big question as far as your platform. Well, first, before we get into your platform, are you considering a run in 2024? We need you.
Well, I would have to say that the inevitable answer is certainly yes. However, I must play coy because it is very important to tease this shit for as long as possible, naturally. And so, as I say, I have formed an exploratory committee. I will be conducting a series of, I guess we will call them podcasts or a series of something, where I will be interviewing different political parties in order to see what they might have to offer me as a candidate and the American people as a political party. And so I'm going to be going through the whole list, hopefully, and hopefully I'll find people that will be able to talk to me and try and convince me why I should represent them or why they should represent me for that matter. And I'm going to that will take some looking at and some thinking of. I mean, we are laying down the infrastructure, I will say that, and as I say, we have formed an exploratory committee, which is essentially just an excuse to raise money. So that's very exciting. I believe our exciting new 501c4 is called Vermin Supreme Says Pony Up America. So that's a real live legitimate name of a legitimate organization that is legitimately seeking for people to give them money, I guess, for shits and giggles. I've always maintained that essentially it is for entertainment purposes, and people should consider it part of their entertainment budget, and the politics that underlie it are just sort of an added bonus, if you will. Now,
all right.
Many people ask me, Vermin, are we going to literally use ponies for currency? And I answer people who ask me this question. I answer that. I say that would be absolutely ridiculous until we can make them very, very small, that is. Oh. And we do have scientists working on that, by the way.
Yeah, right.
And, of course, ultimately, it would be up to the Federal Pony Reserve to make such fiscal policy.
Right.
But I think the important thing to understand, of course, is that once we have universal pony ownership, we will have equity in the ponies that we own. And once we have universal pony equity, we will be able to borrow against it. Now, once we've established pony-based debt, well, we can bring in the bestest and the brightest from all of the Ivy League schools to create the most opaque, arcane, hard-to-understand financial instruments imaginable.
Of course.
We will create quantitative pony easements, pony credit default swaps, and AAA pony junk bond markets, and all of these things. We are going to create a huge pony bubble in the economy.
Yes.
Now, once again, of course, we all know that bubbles are great in the economy at the time it is occurring. All cylinders are firing. Everybody's making money. It's an amazing thing. But unfortunately, many bubbles will pop. But this bubble, however, is going to be reinforced and steel-belted and last forever. Thank you. I'm Vermin Supreme.
Pony up. So you've also said in the past that if elected on day one, you're going to use a time machine to go back in time and kill baby Hitler. Now, my question to you, Vermin, is, are there any other evil historical figures that you would consider adding to your day one kill list? I mean, why stop with baby Hitler?
Well, yes, of course. It's a little secret. It is secretive, for sure. I mean, there are some leaks now and again. And ultimately, of course, the time travel research plank should be understood as a boondoggle and a giveaway to the time travel industrial complex, which is sort of under DARPA, which is sort of under the Pentagon. So ultimately, and of course, once we start spinning it off, each and every congressional district will be heavily vested because they'll all be making components to the system, and ultimately it's going to take quite a while. So yes, it is true that I may have very well said that, and it should be noted that yes, I do say a lot of things, and that is certainly one of the things that I probably did in fact say. Now, will I actually be able to follow through with what I said? That's ultimately the question. But luckily for us all, we are indeed operating in any number of different time streams, as you are aware.
Yes.
And I am quite confident that it is going out to play exactly that way in some different time streams for sure, with different butterfly results.
Understood. What do you think the American dream is, and is it still alive?
Well, once again, I believe that are you referring to the trailer for This Is Vermin Supreme? By any chance?
I am not. I'm holding your feet to the fire here, and I am asking you
because once again, if I may reference on response, a journalist did in fact ask me what the American dream was, and my response was indeed pony fucking. Yes.
Now, is that alive? Is the dream to fuck ponies alive?
We can all get behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
especially the pony.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did. That's the sort of a canned response, I guess, and that is the American dream. I believe it's one of everybody having their own pony, a pony-based economy, a transition to a pony-based economy. Because yes, the transition to a full pony-based economy will not be an easy one. There will indeed be some grumblers. Pony haters in the beginning. There will be those that scream, big government! And, of course, these malcontents will be dealt with swiftly and harshly. Many pundits may argue that it will never work, and they will be sent to work camp to be shown otherwise.
I see.
We will be using the social safety nets to catch and contain the poor people, because these people are impediments to the new utopia.
Clearly.
They are examples of the dangers of old thinking. They are speed bumps in a world that will have no use for speed bumps any longer. I say to create a new world omelet, you've got to break a few eggs. I think that's just a given. That's just understood. So yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. Yes.
Yes, I believe the great Elon Musk from the 1800s said that first. What is your relationship with the Bronies?
Well, I respect the Bronies as a subculture. Of course, they are nerds. They are a stripe of nerds and a stripe of geeks that are very important to me in my constituent portfolio. I do maintain that nerds and geeks are the single biggest voting bloc in America if you combine them all. And there is a vast number of little weird geeky subcultures on the internet and in the country, and it is they are my people. Let me tell you, I am the candidate of nerds and geeks, and if you were to poll the nerd and geek community, I believe I test very well there. As far as the Bronies themselves, I'm a little. I will say that the little brony in the jar with all the cum, I don't believe that is really representative of the larger brony community.
I see.
I believe that bronies are fine, upstanding young people with a fine, upstanding, perhaps unhealthy obsession with sexy ponies, be that as it may. The brony community was very instrumental to my becoming a meme. There was a moment in time between the time where I went viral back there in 2011 after glitter bombing Randall Terry, and between becoming viral, being viral, and then turning into a meme. And the brony community was instrumental in that transition, propelling me from simply somebody who had gone viral into an actual meme. So I am, of course, forever indebted to them. And if you are familiar with my campaign theme song from 2012, entitled "I Am a Meme," I do give the bronies a total shout out. I am a meme. Awesome. My name is Vermin Supreme. I am a meme. On your computer screen, I am a meme. I take my coffee with cream. I am a meme. I am the bronies queen. Meme. Like that. So, yeah.
I brush my teeth to that every morning. It's beautiful.
The shoulders of giants.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, I've been interested in knowing this. I've been reading up on you, but how did you evolve? Did your political thoughts evolve from when you were younger until now, and how did they change over time?
That's a good question. That's a very valid question. I will say I'm still consider myself a left anarchist, one who enjoys Kropotkin as the original gangster. I believe reading Peter Kropotkin early on was a very influential and inspirational had effect on me in terms of mutual aid and cooperation and compassion, and bringing those things into politics. So I that part has not changed in the least. Of course, I have discovered this very interesting and curious, unique, and humorous way to insert myself into the American electoral political system by finding these simple yet elegant devices, boot on my head, and ranting about ponies and toothbrushing and zombies as a way to promote my message. And I believe that part has been very successful, and it has allowed me to spread the good word. You know, I mean, this boot is a magical boot. It contains magic. It allowed me to exponentially multiply my reach of my First Amendment ability to communicate with people. And so now I do a couple little podcasty things. It's called High Noon with Vermin Supreme.
Yep. Saturdays
at noon on YouTube, and then on Sundays on Twitch. And people tune in from all over the world, India, Germany, just various random places, Australia. So it's reached really far and wide. Now, as you may know, I was seeking the Libertarian Party nomination in 2020, and of course, the Libertarian Party has a ton of baggage. Libertarians have a ton of baggage. Yeah. It took me many years to overcome my prejudices against libertarians, or what I perceived libertarians to be. But I was recruited nonetheless by a bunch of swell libertarians, many of them libertarian socialists and members of the Libertarian Socialist Caucus, which more closely aligned to my own personal politics than perhaps the more cultural conservative libertarian strain that has recently taken over the party, if you will, and has been involved in a lot of their recent horrible, in my opinion, messaging that is very alienating to potential converts. But that is. I just want to say,
I find that term a little. I don't know. How do you alienating? I don't know. What do you think of that, Ray?
I don't know.
I don't like it. But so I'm sorry. I got triggered. I'm sorry.
No, it's a good solid fun. I'm down with the alienation. And so that it was a very interesting experience for me. It was like the first, because I've been running these fictitious imaginary campaigns for some 30 years. But in that particular instance, it was my first actual real live campaign where I was actually seeking the nomination of a political party. It entailed that I dealt with it in a very, very different way. I had to be not as facetious. I had to present myself as a more serious individual who was worthy of their nomination. I had to present myself as someone who was able to represent what they were attempting to put across, which I believed was put forth in the platform, the Libertarian Party platform. So I was specifically saying, well, that's what y'all stand for, so that's what I'll present for y'all. It was definitely a hard sell because a lot of people could not grok how a serious party could put up a perceived joke candidate and not have them be perceived as a joke party. A lot of people just couldn't handle it. But after all was said and done, I made it 4 rounds in ranked choice voting at the national convention in 2020, and ended up with over 20% of 1,000 delegates. That was like 1 in 5 voting delegates who agreed with the premise that my candidacy was indeed a bold, unique, and a different way to successfully present our ideas. So it was a very important step in a learning curve for myself because I had never considered even operating on that level. I had never had any interest in doing it, but various people reached out to me and convinced me that I should do that. But I did find myself that I inevitably, and I think this is true of anybody who really enters politics on a real type of level, where I tacked right. I had to tack it a little bit to the right, and so that was very interesting. Being sort of a real politician for a split second in time, where I had all the concerns that a real politician has, trying to appeal to the base and trying to say all the right things. It was very curious because, especially during the debates where you'd be up there with like 7 to 12 other candidates, and you would be asked a question, and everybody was trying to answer it, the best libertarian way they could, and I would try and do that also, but I was, able to insert a lot of my humor into it, and spin it more towards the message that I wanted to put out there. That mutual aid is a very important thing that people need to be involved in order to wean ourselves off of the government. We need to be able to provide the services that the government claims to be offering the people, but they really don't, and there's unintended consequences and all of those things. I mean, there was a certain dovetailing between my own beliefs, as a nonviolent direct action practitioner and the libertarians' non-aggression principle. So, very close alignment there. A lot of their the platform itself are things, and for me, a lot of this it was prioritizing and priorities. Whereas I'm an anarchist, okay, so I don't believe in the government. So if there was no government, all this other stuff that they were proposing, well, of course that makes sense. There would be no this, there would be no that, there would be no government services. But, I found myself at some of these debates, and some of them would be like throwing the meat out, the red meat to their base. And it was like, instead of day one, instead of going back and killing baby Hitler, day one, they were going to end Social Security. And it's like, well, you can say that stuff, but people are going to think you're crazy. So when I say crazy stuff, I generally assume and intend it to be taken as something that's not believable and a little far out there. But many of those people seeking the nomination at the time are saying things that seem to me a little extreme and perhaps, once again, alienating to the mainstream voters.
Right.
And currently, I've really sort of stepped away from my involvement with the Libertarian Party because they are a lot of their outlets are saying some very embarrassing things and things that make me really mildly concerned that I was during my time while I was presenting and seeking the nomination, I also was making the case that it was certainly a place that anarchists and minarchists were working together, and that there was indeed space for left anarchists to work with right anarchists. But the current staff, if you will, doesn't quite see it that way, and it's unfortunate. But it's not quite as big a tent as I had hoped it would be.
The times are changing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been looking at a lot of your content over this last week, and I noticed that when you first kind of rose to popularity during Occupy and then 2012, it seemed as though people were much more receptive to your fun-loving presence. And then when I watch videos from 2016 and after, it looks as though there's a little bit more vitriol towards you. Do you think that the sentiment has changed at all towards you as a meme since you started to now?
Well, it's interesting. I believe that because, especially 2011, 2012, when I became a meme, when I went viral and became a meme, people from the left and the right understood that I was not attacking any particular candidate or any particular political party. It was more of like a total spoof and a goof on politics in general and the system in general. And, it was broad enough so that, a free pony, ha, 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 mandatory toothbrushing, that's wild, ha, 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 authoritarianism.
Yeah.
But so I was able to make my critique in this fashion. And yes, everybody really loved it. In interesting aside, if you watch the extended version of the original debate, one of the things that was not included in that 5-minute greatest hit that went viral was the very end, where I said, I did a mic check, sort of an Occupy style mic check, and I said, welcome to the New Hampshire primary. You have been occupied. And that was not included, and I'm sort of glad that it was not included because that would have turned people off from the right.
Right.
And so maybe around 2016, because that's when the libertarians start to reach out to me and start grooming me a little bit, if you will. They, there is, I think I just became famous. It was the same people, but it was people with radically different beliefs than mine, who like the Hoppian strain, the followers of Hans Hermann Hoppe, who puts forth a vision of libertarianism that I find extremely distasteful. That involves, having your own little covenant communities, if white people only or whatever, and using physical force to remove people, and it's really what I think of as an ugly vision of libertarianism, and a lot of those practitioners really fucking despise me, and as much as I despise them.
Get it together, libertarians. Come on.
Yeah.
Right, Ray?
Yeah, that's not...
they got to get it together.
That's not good news.
Well, I'm sorry that you've been so disrespected by them. We'll have to add them to the probe list. Who do we got? We got Mark Wahlberg. We got George Clooney. We're going to add some top-tier libertarians to the probe list. We're coming for you. We got you, Vermin. We got your back. Are you still there? Jimmy? All right. Vermin, can you hear me? Bark twice. Vermin, we have seemed to have lost audio connection with you. I don't know if you want to try.
Field, if you will.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay, we lost audio connection.
It's the caller there.
We lost audio with you for a second there. We got you back now, it looks like.
Oh, okay. Very, very, very good. Very, 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 very good.
Sorry about that. We'll be better next time, I promise. But let me ask you.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah, we'll make sure. I was just excited that we could do it on my phone. I tried to call it up on the laptop, and it wasn't working. But anyway, let me say this about that.
Oh.
The free pony program will do its job as a jobs creation program. It will create lots and lots of jobs.
Yes.
It is a job multiplier that will have ripple effects throughout almost all sectors of the economy.
Ripple.
There will be a surge in pony-related industries.
Surge.
Business will increase exponentially for saddle makers, alfalfa farmers, blacksmith sectors. The all but extinct buggy whip makers will return with a vengeance. The factories that produce American-made novelty pony hats and oversized pony sunglasses will go into overdrive. All buildings in America will be required to be pony accessible, providing thousands of jobs in all the trade industries. Detroit will be retrofitted to produce pony carts and pony-based and pony-friendly mass transit systems. There will be pony refueling stations with no need for fossil fuel. Our oil pipelines will be retrofitted as pneumatic tubes that can transport both humans and their ponies. There will be pony poop collection facilities. There will be virtually no unemployment, as every non-working American will be conscripted into the pony poop collection corps of America.
Yes.
Composting pony poop into fertile soil for America's future will become one's patriotic duty. The switch to a pony-based economy will revolutionize the way America does business. Ponies will create American jobs. Ponies will revitalize America.
Wow.
Ponies are a green transportation solution.
Yes.
Ponies produce usable methane gas. They lower our dependence on foreign oil, an abundant source of pony-based fertilizer. Ponies are the future of America. Ponies are a viable currency for goods and services. Ponies have cute little tiny carbon footprints.
They do.
Ponies are a renewable resource. Ponies are nice. Ponies are recyclable. Ponies are cute. Ponies are low in cholesterol, and ponies are delicious. In summation, free ponies for everyone, no new taxes, and economic prosperity for all.
Well, I'm hard, and you're not going to have to conscript me into any pony poop collecting regiments because I will volunteer. That's actually a delicacy back on my home planet. Pony poop, pony up. Fantastic.
Nice.
So let me ask you.
Supreme.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. Let's get down and dirty here.
All righty.
You
Dirtier than pony poop?
Yes. Jimmy, get the pony poop heated up. Put it in the microwave, please. Do we got it in the microwave? All right, great. So, Vermin, I want to know, do you have anyone that you specifically have drawn inspiration from in your life creatively, and have you ever heard of or met Wavy Gravy?
I certainly know of Wavy Gravy. I'm very familiar with his Nobody for President campaign, which is indeed an inspiration early on, for sure. Who's going to change America for the better? Nobody. Who's going to go forward with your best interest at heart? Nobody. So, yes, the Nobody for President campaign, very fun. I've never met Wavy, but we do have a number of mutuals. Cool. As far as inspiration, of course, in speaking of Wavy, there was many of the other yippies were indeed very inspirational to me. Abby Hoffman, Jerry Rubin, the Trials of the Chicago 7, with some amazing guerrilla theater. Essentially, the yippies were really some of the pioneers of guerrilla theater, of using crazy ass, batshit, out of control, situationist type of things to provoke political change. Their running of Pegasus, a live pig for president that turned into a riot, and then they ended up at the conspiracy trial, and then they would show up and just really denied the court any sort of decorum. They wore costumes into the court. They pissed off the judges. They were just an amazing thing. I guess in the more vanilla world, I guess Pat Paulson was indeed a great fringe candidate of the humorous variety.
Okay.
Comedian-wise, Richard Pryor yeah, just all sorts of. I want to say George Clinton. No, who am I thinking of? Yes, and so yeah, just a lot of anti-authoritarians, a lot of activists, a lot of humorous activists, people who use humor and spectacle. The situationists, I guess, were pretty snazzy in that regard. Dada, the surrealism, all of these various strains that I still utilize, that I still use, that I hope to carry on that tradition of turning the spectacle around and inside out and making it look at itself and making people question, why not? We can afford all this money for all these wars, for all these bombs, and well, once you do the math, yes, every American could own their pony. So why not? Why are things the way they are? Why aren't they different? Why do we have to accept them as they are? So it's sort of this anarchist idea of expanding horizons, of expanding people's understanding of the situation that they are in, their relationship to the bigger culture and consumer culture and media culture and political culture. And this is the method that I have discovered that has allowed me to directly address and directly critique and interact in real time, in real life, with many of these frightening power mongers. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of possibility and a lot of potential for creativity to break through the noise, for creativity to be heard in the discourse.
Long live imagination.
Yes.
So
I think that's another.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say that, yes, the imagination is very important, and I think that's one of the services that I help provide when people are talking to me and meeting me, and they want to talk about zombies and ponies and things that we all know aren't real, but we want to talk about them as if they were real and as if they are real. Much like you obviously are real live space aliens from outer space. Yes.
In the documentary "Who is Vermin Supreme," they insinuate that your performance art is similar to that of the ancient Greek Diogenes. What do you make of that assertion?
Perhaps. I think I got it a lot cushier. It's hard to say where Diogenes might be if he was existing in this day and age. But I'll take it. I'll take it. It's not a. I've heard that comparison, and sure, I mean it's very, very complimentary.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he liked to fuck with people, and he would do some crazy shit. So yeah, sure, why not?
I like it. So one of your slogans has been, "I'm a friendly fascist, a tyrant you can trust. Let me run your life because I know what's best for you." Now, given that context, what do you make of the way that our government handled COVID over the past couple of years?
They tried. Government's going to try. Government's going to do what government's going to do. I think you always like to think that they're acting with the best interest of the population at hand, especially in medical emergencies. And I tend to, I understand that the state will claim even extra powers during times of emergency. So it was a time of emergency, and they did indeed claim special extra powers, and that may or may not have remediated the pandemic, if you will. And it certainly had negative impacts on people's lives and negative impacts on the economy. But of course, also did the pandemic itself was a pretty outrageous and frightening thing. So I myself had my campaign pledge, and that was, of course, that I was indeed going to go back in time and kill baby COVID. That I was indeed going to create COVID-free zones, make different zones COVID-free zones, because it works so well with drug-free zones and gun-free zones. I thought if we made more COVID-free zones, that would work to our advantage. And ultimately, I did promise to dig a small moat around the country and fill it with hand sanitizer. That was so. I definitely had a very serious COVID plan myself if elected.
Great. Fantastic. Now, let me ask you this as well. Now, if you are elected, given the quote-unquote cancel culture, who is the first person you're going to cancel who's still alive? Because you're going to go back and kill baby Hitler, but who can you cancel that's alive now?
If I was elected, you say?
Yes. And given full presidential abilities to cancel.
Yes, I would definitely have to cancel myself, I think, at that point.
That's a given, as is tradition.
Yes. I would probably get my younger self from the future to do the job.
Honorable.
It's all here in my book, iPony, Blueprint for a New America.
Jimmy, can we bring the cover up from Vermin's book here? Let's go on the Google Images.
There you go.
What it looks like.
You can, Jimmy. You have a mic. Jimmy, use your mic.
I'm here.
Okay, he forgot he had a microphone. We're still teaching our slave how to produce our show. It's hard. It's real hard.
Free labor.
Yeah.
Maybe what we'll have to do, we'll abduct a human and we'll send them over to you as a slave, and then you can start a podcast. What do you think of that, Vermin?
Nice. I think so. I could definitely use more humans.
So let me ask. I don't know if I'm coming out of left field here or if I'm being inappropriate, but can I ask, where does the name Vermin Supreme Love come from? What is the inspiration?
Yes. I became Vermin Supreme. I guess it was around 1985. I was in Baltimore, Maryland. I was doing bookings and promotions for a couple different nightclubs at the time. Of course, it was the sort of the tail end of the punk rock days where a lot of people were taking on various names. I was part of the art weirdo scene in Baltimore, and a lot of people were also utilizing different names. And so Vermin Supreme was the name that I took at that time. All club owners, all booking agents were Vermin, and I was the Vermin Supreme. And it was just a small leap into politics from that time. All politicians are Vermin, and I was the Vermin Supreme.
Awesome.
And eventually, very rapidly, in fact, it got to a point where it just became my real name. And the name that I had used previously was very vestigial, and essentially is my dead name. It's a name that is dead to me, and the name that I do not use any longer. And no. So, yeah.
I see. Well, so it looks like Jimmy finally got a picture of your book up here. So we got Vermin Supreme, iPony, Blueprint for a New America. And you could buy that on Amazon, correct, Vermin? Am I right? Or
you can find it at Bob Tomistic Book. If you go to iPonythebook.com, I think the publisher gets a little bit more money, and theoretically the artists are supposed to get a little money. I'm not sure how that's going, though. I haven't seen any money for it, but it's a good book, and you should read it.
All right. iPonythebook.com. You're definitely going to want to check that out. Vermin.
In fact, I could read another chapter if you like.
Please. Yeah, by all means, please.
Okay. I'm going to read prologue number 2. This is a very controversial and mildly erotic show, so I be warned. I guess a trigger warning if ponies trigger you.
My taint is ready.
Okay. So you are ready?
Yes.
And I'm going to read this. This is a part of the story that I really like to read. And so it goes as follows. Hold on. Let me get a sip of water here, and then I will get into this. This could be like a bedtime story. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Here we go. Are you ready? Okay, here we go.
Ready, Betty.
All right. Chuck's eyelids leapt open as his nose choked on the sharp, acrid smell of burning plastic. Knowing immediate danger when he smelled it and sensory overload when he experienced it, he tried to get a grip on the rapidly rising panic that his lizard brain was inducing. He looked around wildly through the chaos, trying to assess the situation. Alarms and warning sirens filled his ears. Instrument panels sparked and sputtered. The smoke and the blinking danger lights gave the cramped space the look of a hellish discotheque. Through the porthole, a calm beam of sunshine pierced the smoke and darkness. His eyes landed on the beam. He was able to orient himself in the cabin. The steady voice of the ship's computer calmly made its pronouncement. Please evacuate the capsule. He quickly came to the conclusion that his spaceship, Continuum, must have crash-landed on some unknown planet. Well, that's a fine kick in the ass, he said to himself as he realized he was up to his shins in water. The ship was sinking rapidly. Each and every one of the inflatable flotation gizmos, which were specifically designed to keep the stupid spacecraft afloat in just such an event, had obviously failed to deploy. The computer made a most welcome announcement. Atmosphere capable of supporting life. His rigorous training kicked in as he unstrapped his safety restraints and reached for the lever that would blow open the capsule door. Boom! The door blew open, arcing through the air, landing with a splash. Sunlight, fresh air, and fresh water flooded the cabin. It was a beautiful day. Filling his lungs with fresh air, he was able to regain his composure and reassess the situation. Looking about the rest of the capsule, it was clear his fellow chrononauts had not survived the trip. He winced at the sight of his desiccated colleagues. Then the perky, synthesized voice chip chirped. Self-destruct sequence activated. 3 minutes until vaporization. Something had tripped the self-destruct mechanism. Believing that 3 minutes was plenty of time, Chuck quickly grabbed his kit bag, his seat cushion, which also acted as a flotation device, and his inflatable life vest. His spaceman ray gun, much to his chagrin, was secure in the gun locker right in front of his face. 2 minutes until vaporization. There was not going to be enough time to enter the required information into the required field to unlock his weapon. He could see it, but he could not get to it. Damn waiting times! He punched at the plastic glass that stood in his way. Fuck! He swore. He really wanted his gun. Chuck waded over to the hatch and stepped up on its lip. Water poured up and over his time shoes and into the capsule. He looked down. Damn it! My favorite time shoes! They were indeed some really nice time shoes. He blinked and squinted into the bright sunlight. He felt its warmth on his stubbled cheeks. Chuck shielded his eyes from the sun and scanned the horizon, noting the direction of the land. Pausing momentarily, he said something somber and witty about his deceased coworkers in regards to their imminent burial at sea. Something about the captain going down with the ship. Goodbye, my captain, he saluted. Lest he be sucked into the undertow from the sinking ship or caught up in the vaporization, Chuck jumped clear. In an instant, he was furiously swimming and kicking away. 1 minute until vaporization. Bolts of electricity crackled around the skin of the sinking capsule. As the space machine submerged, the water sizzled and boiled as steam bellowed skyward. The computer voice burbled as it went under. 30 blub blub seconds, glug glug. Exactly 29 seconds later, the ship imploded. As the machine destroyed itself, it produced an awesome shockwave that rolled over the water surface. The 3-foot swell lifted him up and set him down. It did not propel him forward in the least. He paddled and kicked and paddled until he could paddle and kick no more. He made it to the beach, pulled himself up onto land. Sucking hard for air, he blacked out. There was no turning back. Before Chuck opened his eyes, he could half remember his dream. A smile crept across his face. He felt the warmth of the day on his closed eyelids. A slight breeze caressed his skin. He was unsure as to where he was. Was he still in deep suspension on the ship? He did know that if he was experiencing this level of consciousness, the ship was approaching its destination and bringing him online. Slowly, he opened his eyes. He knew in a flash that he was no longer in space. Looking about, he found himself surrounded by humanoids. They looked like hippies. They were hairy all over and seemed to have no shame. They seemed to be unable to speak coherently, and they smelled terrible.
True.
The tribe eagerly welcomed the lost man into the fold. Chuck had hoped these savages might treat him like a god, but it wasn't to be. Instead, they treated him with a kindness usually reserved for idiots or children. He spent several days tagging along, joining them in eating nuts, berries, squirrels, and other small mammals. He was convinced one of their females was checking him out. If this was going to be his new life, in this strange new world, he definitely wanted to get laid. The tribe members' animal skin loincloths left little to the imagination. The women bared their breasts as if they were just another body part. There were worse planets to be stranded on, he thought. One day, as they made their way through the jungle, Chuck stopped to take a dump. The tribe continued down the trail. If nothing else, this new diet was keeping him regular. Chuck was on his haunches, defecating several feet off the path, when there appeared to be a hubbub at the front of the foraging expedition. He was cursing the lack of toilet paper on this otherwise serviceable planet when he noticed the commotion. He finished wiping his ass with some leaves, which he hoped were not poisonous. No sooner had he pulled up his chrononaught breeches when he heard what sounded like a stampede. Several of the hippies ran back past Chuck in the direction from which they had come. The tribe personified fear as they scampered by, being chased by who knows what. Within seconds, Chuck had been scooped up in a net and was being dragged along the ground. After a short but bruising drag along the jungle floor, he found himself being released from the net. Chuck and his fellow captives were surrounded by fierce, smallish horses snorting through their nostrils and kicking up dirt. Attracted by his strange, tattered spaceman garb, two members of the hunting party came up to Chuck. They reached out to touch the odd fabric. Chuck snarled loud and clear, "Get your dirty hooves off me, you stinking ponies!" The ponies in the hunting party were stunned. Never before had they heard a human talk, let alone accuse them of smelling. With their superior pony strength and numbers, the pony soldiers quickly subdued the struggling man. They attached a massive yoke around his shoulders. Chuck was chained to the other human captives and led down the trail towards New Pony City. Marching him through the jungle, the ponies taunted him. "Do it again! Say something!" they challenged Chuck as they poked him with a stick. "No, you smell!" said another, fanning the air with a hoof. Chuck decided to shut the fuck up and did not utter another word. Shackled and naked in the lab, he listened as the pony scientists, wearing pony lab coats, went about discussing his imminent vivisection. "We must cut him open and find out what makes him talk," said Dr. Zaius. "I want his brain! Let's cut off his balls!" "Maybe we should keep him a while and experiment on him alive before dissecting his brain," said Dr. Zira, a lone voice of pony reason. "We could still cut his balls off." "We will discuss this tomorrow," said Dr. Zaius, who was famous for putting off important workplace discussions until the next day. They all left the lab and headed home to their stalls and their paddocks. That evening, Dr. Zira came back to the lab to check in on the human prisoner. She glanced at Chuck through the bars with a gaze both tender and curious. She'd never looked at a human in such a way before. With apprehension and trans-species lust aroused, Dr. Zira approached the cage. They longingly looked into each other's eyes. She stepped closer. He reached out with his arm and stroked her muzzle. She rubbed her muzzle on his arm. Trembling, her pony muzzle lips, pink and moist, moved towards the man-stubbled man muzzle as his moved towards hers. They mashed their faces together between the bars, their interspecies tongues intertwined. Chuck almost gagged on his pony love's huge, wet pony tongue. He felt her equine teeth on his cheeks. He had his whole face in her mouth, and he was loving it. Pony saliva poured down his neck. His nipples hardened. His fingers became enmeshed in her silky mane. He tightly hugged her muscular neck and pulled her towards him through the bars. It was at this moment that Chuck burst awake from his dream. His heart was beating heavily, and he was soaked in sweat. He had a huge erection that he had been rubbing on Jane, his wife. Jane, already nudged awake by his magnificent manhood, took a firm and steady grip of his deadly saddle horn and positioned herself all reverse cowgirl style on it. Not caring whether it was a piss hard-on or not, she rode it for all it was worth. Married people with kids should always get it when they can, she reminded herself. As the sun's rays entered the room, joined at the junk like that, sliding up and down on the old disco stick, Jane really loved her life and her husband. She went through her mental to-do checklist for the day as she approached her first orgasm. Her eyes rolled back in her head. Yes. Meanwhile, breathing heavily, Chuck could not let go of the image of Dr. Zira's big anime eyes and long eyelashes, the sexy pony lipstick, her sexy pony lips, and that lab coat all remained vivid in his mind. He wrapped his fingers in his wife's long hair, pretending that it was his dream lover's silky mane. He imagined what it might be like being belly to belly, making love with a pony. He spent a lot of time trying to visualize the mechanics of how it might work. Wow. He watched his wife's ass bouncing up and down and up and down as he envisioned that he was fucking a hot pony pussy. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
That's yes, thank you. That was a chapter, the prologue of iPony Blueprint for a New America. Whew,
and that's iPonythebook.com. iPonythebook.com. Jimmy, go ahead and order about 5,000 copies of that book. We're going to include a free iPony book with every probing. We're going to leave it in your asshole. So when you wake up, you're just going to go ahead and reach into your asshole and pull out the book. We're going to put some lube on it. It's going to be in a condom probably, so the pages won't be affected. But we're going to distribute your book in people's assholes, Vermin. I hope that's okay.
That's fine. Maybe it could be like a little chip or something.
Exactly. A free gift.
A thumb drive attached to the probe, maybe.
Oh, a thumb drive. That would be a lot. Yeah, a thumb drive would be easier. I might err towards the side of just doing the full book, but we'll see. We'll see what we can afford. Vermin.
Okay.
I just want to say that I love you. And do you have anything else that you want to tell the people before you take off here tonight?
Well, once again, I just wanted to thank you all very much for tuning in today. I'm sorry I missed all the chats. I'll have to go back and see what people are saying on the Facebooks and wherever else we were. But I'd like to thank you, your most advanced race for not exterminating us humans.
You're welcome.
Right away. I understand that you have some science to make happen and more probes to probe. And things of that nature before you can get around to exterminating the human race or enslaving us, your choice, I guess.
Yes.
So I just hope that you'll look upon me favorably when you are indeed exterminating the human race, and maybe you can, spare my life and use me for some sexual gratification or something, maybe.
He's one of the good ones. We'll need him for that.
Yes, we'll consider. We'll highly consider it. Let me ask: Can we have you on again, Vermin? Because what we'll do is we'll send you a nice computer from our home planet, and then we can have you full on video next time. What do you think?
No, yeah, that would be very exciting. I really it's very odd that we have these technical difficulties, but it's Earth. What can you do? Sorry,
we made it through anyway.
It is Earth. So in your honor, Vermin, we're gonna light up a joint of some spice now. I don't know if you'd like to partake with us, but as you leave, we're going to light up some spice in your honor. So.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm assuming that's the the spice you get at the gas station, the bath salts, or is this something else?
Nope, this is spice that's mined deep within the loins of my home planet in the Andromeda Galaxy. There's hundreds of thousands of alien slaves that work tirelessly to mine the spice, from the depths of my home planet. We don't get any breaks. That's really where I came from. I was a spice miner. I did not mine enough spice, and I was banned from my home planet and banished to Earth. I'm sorry. It's a little bit of spice that we have from the home planet.
Okay. Well, once again, don't be confused if you find yourself at one of the fossil fuel filling stations. They often have a product, and it is called spice, but it's not your spice. It's bath salts, and it makes people go crazy and eat
posers.
Maybe I'll mix some of that with my spice. We'll see. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, for sure. You bet. I just smoke earth weed myself. I'm a big fan of the earth weed, so yeah, I'll just smoke that.
Fantastic. Well, I hope that with the New Hampshire primary, you said that's coming up.
Yep, that will come up probably about a year from now.
I see.
Now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will say now. I will make this promise and guarantee now. I will come down from my spaceship and I will be there with you.
That will be very exciting. Well, you should. New Hampshire primary is always an exciting place to be. Unfortunately, the DNC wants to make South Carolina the first in the nation primary, but New Hampshire has a law on the books that demands that they are the first in the nation primary. So we will see how it dukes out. I believe there will be plenty of exciting publicity for everybody. All the candidates are there, and I think you should grill the fuck out of them. Hell yeah, probe all the candidates, definitely.
And very last question: if I come down to your human hometown, can I rub the boot and get some of its powers, please?
We can negotiate that. We can talk about that. It is not inconceivable, for sure. There's a lot of magic in the boot, and there must have been some magic in that old boot that they found. Because when they stuck it on his head, he began to dance around. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Just wanted to tell you guys real quick, we have a caller that has one question for Vermin Supreme, if we got time.
All right, Vermin, do we have time to take a question from a caller?
Sure, you bet.
All right. Fuck it.
Patch him in, Jimmy.
Patch him in.
Guys from Michigan.
Hey, you guys, it's Big Bill.
Hey, Big Bill.
Big Bill.
Hey. Pleasure to be back on, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back.
Thank you. How does it... All right, so just for a recap, do you guys remember our cannibalism talk to save the planet?
I do.
Okay. All right, so, Vermin, what we're going to do here, I want your support. We're going to cannibalize the planet to make it go green.
Well, I will say that is not inconceivable. I think Jonathan Swift came up with a very important proposal, eating the children to prevent starvation. In the potato famine, he was promoting eating the babies, and it was a very modest proposal, but I think it made a lot of sense. And truth be told, yes, full disclosure, I had some involvement with the Church of Euthanasia, which was indeed a pro-cannibalism cult that existed in the early 90s. And that was a lot of crazy shit that went on in the streets, cannibal taste tests, all sorts of things. But this is I'm not going to go into that here nor there. That's a whole nother episode, probably.
Oh, Vermin, you'll get no flack from me. That's absolute science pioneering. You're doing God's work out here, man. We appreciate you and believe in you, and we hope you win the New Hampshire primary, man.
Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you for your support.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you, Big Bill. We'll see you soon, okay, my friend?
Jim,
stay
as
big.
always, my friend.
Stay big and stay Bill.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, you guys. Take care.
May the wind always be at your back. Vermin Supreme, once again, thank you for coming on, Mr. Love. It's been fantastic. It's been educational. It's been magical. Ray, what do you think?
It's been an honor.
Thank you so much, and we hope to have you on again.
I'd like to thank you very much, all you beautiful, fine folks from the Shroom Show and the Shroom Show audience. And shrooms are a wonderful and important thing that are on this planet here, which I assume that you partake of. And psychedelic experiences and all those things, and a lot of healing that occurs, and rewiring of the human brain through the use of the psychedelic mushrooms has definitely been beneficial and therapeutic for many individuals suffering from post-traumatic stress and other such afflictions. And so I'm all about your mission. And, of course, psychedelic drugs and some mushrooms in that are included that certainly opened up my third nostril and made me the person that I am today, and allowed me to channel crazy shit and take it into the streets because, people who don't, they're a little concerned. But the psychedelic mushrooms and the psychedelic drugs really gave me an understanding and a contextual realization of my relationship with reality, how we can step outside of reality momentarily, how we can alter reality on occasion, how we can change reality through our conscious decisions and exploits. So I'm down with what you are doing 100%, and keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And, of course, verminsupreme.com. Check it out, verminsupreme.com, verminsupreme.com/shop. Vermin Supreme Institute, which is a little institute thing that we got going, which does stuff from time to time. Check it out. And if you're interested in learning more about the campaign or participating in the campaign, definitely reach out. And of course, I'm on all the socials. I'm on the internet for sure. And last but not least, please do remember that there are indeed two types of people on this planet. Those in the Bronies and those that will not survive the transition times. Because the road to Phototopia will not be easy. No. Not all of us are going to make it. Oh, there will be hardships. There will be sacrifices. Human sacrifices. But let me assure you this. The road to Phototopia will be paved with the glitter-encrusted skulls of our vanquished foes. Because together, we're going to ride our ponies into a zombie-powered future. Which is why, now, more than ever, you must decide, what are you going to game your pony? Have a great day, y'all.
Love you.
Take it easy, man.